I'm not getting invited back, am I?
Oh yeah.
Well,
It'd be a comedy show next time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
There's already a first question from Glenn, so I'll just get started.
Yeah. So people have been asking for a game with the playable Zelda for quite some time. Do you think it's time to set Link aside, and what would you like to see if...
Do I think it's time to set Link aside? I mean, it's pretty hard to set Link aside. He's kind of a main staple guy. I also say, like, Hyrule Warriors, they have playable Zelda, so that has actually occurred.
I was literally going to bring that up if you didn't, and she's a badass in that. Like, the very first time you see her, she's like...
You've played a lot of her, haven't you?
Yeah. She's got all kinds of different weapons in that, but she's immediately in charge of the kingdom. She's on the front lines. And I was going to say, we got the CDI games. We had a game featuring Zelda way back when. Yeah, you understand, so...
Yeah.
I think that I'm glad that they're not as afraid to give other characters the limelight nowadays, and I think it's always really cool when Zelda takes the fray, because she's really quite powerful, even if she doesn't start out confident in Breath of the Wild. It's like, there's no shame in feeling the weight of the expectations placed upon you, but that means when she finally, takes control of that power and puts it to use, it's a really empowering moment. So I think it's really cool.
Well said. Rivali/Deku, with all the wisdom.
Rivali cares for Zelda. He doesn't care so much for Link. But
I can tell.
We need Zelda teaches typing. Mario did it. Now we need Zelda to do it.
She should teach font writing.
Yes.
Just all the different
I'm
kinds of...
so envious of your ability. Every time you get your paws on someone's print first before I do, I'm like, I could draw Triforce. Spend all of calculus doing that.
He's talking about Hylian. I write in Hylian, so...
She taught herself the script and can just write it without looking up a guide. It's impressive.
You're going so far off topic.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But no, I know, it doesn't matter. But
just wait till she learns how to summon the ball of light. She's working on that too.
In real life,
yes.
Yeah. Right now, all I can summon is like Play-Doh and cake and things like that. But,
I've got a question from Connor.
So of course in Tears of the Kingdom, Link basically replaces his arm with like a super-powered arm. If you could replace one of your limbs with anything, what would it be?
Ooh, I'm not sure first on that one, Sean, because I feel like
this is either going to be really fun or really stupid. I've entertained that question before because I asked people if each of your 5 fingers could shoot like a different liquid out, like, and it's fresh, like it's hot chocolate, it's coffee, it's whatever. What are the 5 drinks that you would want? So for me it was like orange Fanta and like something else. If I could replace the arm, when I was younger, I was a big Full Metal Alchemist person. So, like, the whole idea of the automail arm and just having something that, you have to get it repaired, but there's not really, like, the pain receptors and stuff like that. But that was more of an interest in, like, the alchemy sort of things than the replacement of the arm. So, it's hard to ask of, like, what I would replace it with, because it's like, does it really matter what you replace it with if what you want is the power that comes with it? If it's the psychokinetic powers, or if it's, like, an elemental thing. There's an anime called, is it Escriad? I don't know how it's pronounced, but the dude in that has kind of like a power glove arm, where it's got like this red casing with like spikes that go up the back, and I don't know if it actually does anything functional, but I would definitely want to punch someone with it on. It looks like it's really cool,
Vines.
Yeah, that too.
Helpful, yeah.
You could just grow trees from it and grow vegetation. It'd be really cool.
I thought one of you was going to throw out a rolling pin or a sword as an arm.
Oh, like a material object.
I've already done the Assassin's Creed. I've already had like the hidden blade.
Okay. All right.
Grow trees.
I wouldn't replace the arm, but I would like to do like one of those Assassin's Creed like switchblades that are like run along the inside of your forearm. So like if I ever end up in a bad situation, you like push a button and it flicks, and you're just like, all right, let's go, let's tussle.
Even a plastic one.
I would get beaten up very quickly, but it's fun to pretend.
Good question.
Yeah. So how has your performance changed between the two Zelda games, between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? You both have different roles to an extent, especially you, Patricia, as Zelda. How has your performance changed?
I would say, I mean, it's certainly evolved from the first one. I think she had more wisdom and a lot more experience, and I think that kind of shows up between Breath of the Wild and then also Hyrule Warriors, and by the time you get to Tears of the Kingdom, even though they're not chronologically supposed to be part of the same world, they still are part of that same world. So I feel like I was able to spend some time actually expanding upon the work that I did in the first game, and also new script, new director, new team, you know, like partly at least. That always changes the feeling that you get in a room and what you're going to do with it. So you are also going by that script, and what they offered for the third game, or for the sequel. Sorry, was a really exciting palette. Obviously, no spoilers, but you know, for the people who, yeah, it was very exciting to be able to evolve through that.
People won't be surprised at all because Rivali is a sarcastic jerk, but I've often said that I wish I had known what we learned when recording for the DLC of the first game back when we were recording for the main game, because, like, from the recording process, we weren't always given everything in chronological order, so there's a lot of stuff I figured out towards the end. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes more sense in regards to this. When I came in to record for the DLC and we got that background info, I was like, oh my god, it all makes so much more sense now. And then by the time, you know, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity came around, I very much understood the characters from different perspectives at that point. So for me, it was kind of, from a performance perspective, it was interesting seeing me go from just kind of figuring this out as I went along, much like Link would, to by the time we were in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, I was so in tune with the characters that switching between Rivali and Teba was easy. It was actually kind of impressive even to me, because there's a cutscene where they talk to each other, and people who don't know are like, I didn't know that you voiced both of them. But for me in the booth, I knew them so well by then that it was just, are we doing Rivali's lines? Okay, now into that. Are we doing Teba's lines? Okay, now into that. And you would think it was two completely different people. So it's a good example of how, as actors, we really appreciate having as much info as possible, not because we want to spoil it for anyone, but because if we understand motivations, if we understand backstory, it makes it so much easier to make educated choices about why we are saying what we are saying in a way that will convince the player base as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, yeah. And even just, I think, what happens outside of a game over years, you know, we went through a pandemic and all these things, and then coming back to a role, especially in a sort of, you know, dystopian universe like that, you can kind of add parts of your life from outside and inside, and it's all just a little more rich as it goes along. It's really cool.
Any other question?
So there are lots of people out there who really want to see more of Tingle in a new Zelda game. If we got a game starring Tingle again, who would you want to act alongside and see voice that role?
Oh my god.
Keanu Reeves. Easily Keanu Reeves.
I'm gonna go with that too.
He does all his own stunts, man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this, because I can explain this in detail, because I was playing Hyrule Warriors. First of all, you know who Tingle is as a character,
Yes.
yeah? So, like, the funniest
I had
thing
a
to
great
me...
cosplayer recently come up as Tingle.
Yeah.
The funniest thing to me is, as a team, we're like, who is this creepy man in my Zelda game? I want nothing to do with him. And as 30-somethings, we're like, that is life goals right there. That man is living his best life, dressed up however he wants. He's got the butt wiggle that he does when he runs. In Hyrule Warriors, when you
So
run
you want
with
to
him...
see Keanu Reeves do the butt wiggle?
Yes!
Is that what you're saying?
When you run as him...
I'm not saying that you're saying that, just to throw it out
When
there.
you run as him with every gallop, he goes like, hoo, hoo, hoo. He does like little funny noises, and there's confetti coming out of his backside at the same time. And I think Keanu is someone who does like basically all his own stunts. If he can waggle his buttocks like that, move over, Tay-Tay. I'm sorry, new favorite.
I'm gonna leave that there.
Hi. I was just wondering what the influences were behind your voices in the game.
You will definitely want to go first.
I've answered different things for this, like initially. So like initially when you go in for like a very first audition, when I didn't know what it was, I did think of like Emma Watson and other voices, just to kind of like as a very vague reference. But it's sort of not exactly where it ended up. Once I got the audition and I started recording the lines, it sort of just kind of becomes your own, where it sits well in you and what makes sense with the urgency that's coming out of that. And I suppose there's on some level, like, you know, I studied in London at one point years ago. I did a master's degree over here of classical acting. Right, so I'm sort of, I use a little bit of inspiration from that and a little bit of inspiration from other things I've done on stage, just a loose amalgam of things.
I looked up London in Wikipedia once, so it's pretty much the same thing. I think I got a lot of inspiration. No, I'll try and make this faster because I was blessed beyond words to have 3 characters, you know, rather than just the one.
Just the one.
Well,
You know, it really.
you know,
I was like, why didn't they give me other characters?
I'm a people pleaser. I try and fill the gaps when people need it, but it's a wonderful story for me to tell when I get the chance to do it in long form, because Rivali Teba and the Great Deku Tree, which many people don't realize I also voiced, was the perfect mix of like stuff that was new to me, stuff that had a challenge that I overcame, and stuff where I had utter confidence in what I was doing. Rivali was probably the most difficult because, as I said, I didn't quite understand his motivations yet, and so it was hard to get the level of grounded real